I think people who went to the streets had every right to be angry and to make their anger known to the government.
Do you think that Ukraine is still a democracy?
That's actually a very good question, and it is not a very difficult one. It may seem as a difficult one, but it isn't.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm speaking with Anastasia Radina, a lawmaker from President Zelensky's Servant of the People party, and also the head of the Anti-Corruption Committee of the Parliament. It's great to have a lawmaker from the President's party. It's also great to have a lawmaker who publicly opposes the law that the President signed yesterday. Since a lot of our readers are tuning into the situation only recently and didn't follow the saga, which actually took place only 24 hours, right? Can you please briefly describe why are you against this law and what are the main problems of the law that now subjugates anti-corruption institutions to the General Prosecutor's office?
Let me start answering this question by referring back to earlier than 24 hours ago, after the Revolution of Dignity, 2014, there has been a decision to create independent anti-corruption institutions so that they can target high-profile corruption that other unreformed or ill practices law enforcement bodies proved incapable of tackling. And these institutions were established. They were established not only because this was a demand of Ukrainian people, but also because this has been part of cooperation frameworks with various international partners through the years. Independent, NABU, and SAPO were part of the IMF memorandums of Visa Liberalization Action Plan back in 2016, of almost all tracks of our negotiations leading to hopefully EU membership. Independent anti-corruption institutions have always been part of these frameworks. Sadly, the bill that has been adopted yesterday, signed into law yesterday, published yesterday, and for now, today, it is already an effective bill. It destroys procedural independence of NABU and SAPO. According to this bill, it is Prosecutor General who receives an opportunity to intervene into cases, to tell NABU and SAPO what to do into cases, to reassign cases to different prosecutors. And basically, if I may be very straightforward, after adoption of this bill, Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office and the head of this office is basically a fake institution without any powers. So when colleagues claim that institutions were not closed down, they exist. Well, there are buildings where there are nameplates with names of the institutions, but real powers and real independence of anti-corruption institutions is unfortunately for now destroyed.
And you're saying about those two pillar institutions being destroyed, and you also mentioned that the amendments were added to an old law at the same day as the parliament voted on it. You also had the committee that was supposed to oversee this law. The committee was basically blindsided, and these amendments were not given to proper lawmakers more than 10 minutes before the committee was to take place. And also unprecedented situation happened when after the law was adopted, the speaker signed it the same day and the president signed it also the same day, taking the whole process less than 24 hours. How common is this in Ukraine?
This is absolutely uncommon. You are right. The committee hearing, which introduced this amendment, happened in the morning. At the same day, in few hours, the voting happened in the parliament. And by the moment the consideration of the bill on the floor in the parliament opened, the bill and the amendments were published like 10 minutes before. So sadly, I'm ready to confirm that it is true that many of the people who voted in favor had little idea what exactly they were voting for.
And why did they vote for something that they have no idea what will do to this country?
That's not the question that I should answer. I think that all those who voted in favor of that are now obliged to answer this question in discussions with their voters. because it is also a sad, I would say, historical coincidence that 6 years before this vote, actually parliamentary elections happened when people supported those who voted for this bill in their march, let's put it like this, to the parliament under the promise of real fight against corruption, strengthening anti-corruption institutions, no political interference into them. So I think, yes, it is time that those who voted for that explain their voters why they did it.
But when we're talking about Ukraine's parliament, many people think that it was something that the lawmakers just decided to do. They saw this opportunity and they passed it, and then the president just happened to sign it. But in Ukraine currently, the parliament is controlled by the president. The governing party is controlled by the president, and also the president's office has support of former pro-Russian lawmakers that vote for most government initiatives, right? We're talking about the lawmakers from the now banned opposition platform For Life party. Why do you think the president's office, or let's say the government, decided to do this kind of violation of everything that Ukraine stands for in such a fast and brutal way?
It is difficult for me to answer this question. And again, let me just insist that I am responsible for one person, and this is myself, and I did not vote for this bill. We, together with few colleagues in the parliament, did everything we found possible in order to stop consideration of this bill. We even tried to block the tribune in the parliament. Sadly, this wasn't enough, and the bill was voted, as was voted and supported the decision to allow or effectively oblige the Speaker of the Parliament to immediately sign this bill and send it to presidential administration, which again, sadly, left us without an opportunity to table the motion to cancel results of this vote.
You're the head of the anti-corruption committee in Parliament, but you're also a member of the Servant of the People Party, which is President Zelensky's party.
I'm not a member of the party. I've never been one.
Of the faction in Parliament. So are you planning on leaving the Servant of the People faction, which just passed this law that you are publicly disagreeing and saying that it destroys anti-corruption reforms in Ukraine?
Let's just walk through this opportunity. If I'm doing that, the party has, the fraction has full opportunity to take away my mandate as a member of the parliament. Would that be for the benefit of reforms? I don't think so, because with that there will be just one vote less against things like those that have happened yesterday. So I'm just not seeing how that is helpful. I've heard rumors. I learned that from the media that there might be some appetite towards dismissing me from the head of position of anti-corruption committee. Now, I know I'm not very comfortable for my own fraction. Let me just say I have zero intention of becoming comfortable.
Before the bill was introduced and passed, there were multiple raids by SBU, the security service, which is working hand in hand with the president's office in Ukraine. And the president, in his evening address, he basically said that this whole procedure, the raids and then the law passing, was done to make sure that the anti-corruption bodies are not influenced by Russia. Can you please comment on this specific statement?
It is difficult for me to understand how specifically provisions of this bill counteract alleged Russia's agents in the Anti-Corruption Bureau and Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. Frankly, if SBU has concerns, they have their investigative powers. At the same time, we are analyzing just this information that SBU made public as a result of serving notification of suspicion to some of NABU employees. And some of the evidence, frankly speaking, just seems to not match explanations that SBU provides. For example, SBU claims that they have uncovered one NABU detective, actually a rather high-profile official, in illicit trade with Russia, and they made public a wiretaping of private phone conversations of this person in question. However, this conversations, everyone can go online and just listen to them. They are not about trade with Russia. They are about trade with Uzbekistan, which is not Russia. So
but he's saying, Mr. Maluk, who's the head of the security service, he yesterday during his press briefing, where he doubled down that this person was selling weed to Russia's Dagestan province.
Again, I'm listening to wiretaping materials that SBU itself provided, and I'm not hearing Dagestan there, I'm hearing Uzbekistan. So I'm really interested in SBU, frankly, giving more evidence as to why they claim what they claim.
Do you see this as a special operation? That the security service, the parliament, the person who introduced those amendments, Mr. Bujansky, who has a questionable reputation and has made multiple anti-Ukrainian statements and statements against Ukrainian anti-corruption institutions. Do you see this as a campaign to rid Ukraine of any independent entities, any independent law enforcement agencies, and for everything to be controlled by the president of Ukraine?
Let's just look at the sequence of events. First, SBU announces this notification of suspicion and do this very public searches, give a lot of news on their website. I think like 5 to 7 news on their website on that day were dedicated to uncovering Russia's agent in NABU and SAPO. Simultaneously, State Bureau of Investigation served notification to other NABU employees for traffic accidents that happened 3 to 4 years ago. The next day, Parliament adopts the bill. Let's compare the sequence of events to other operations of law enforcement institutions. For example, the same SBU 2 weeks ago uncovered, according to their official communication, corruption and other violations in customs. Was there any move on reforming customs afterward? I just have to remind the audience that the bill on reforming customs has been voted a year ago, and by now the competition for any head of customs should have started, but this didn't happen. And this didn't happen still, regardless of the law enforcement activities of SBU. However, in case of NABU, it all happened in a manner of blitzkrieg. So it is very, very difficult to not see a pattern there.
Moving to the reaction to this event. This, for many in Ukraine, for many activists, for soldiers, so on, this was the last straw, because we know that there was problems. We're not going to go into details, but a few weeks back there was the government didn't appoint an independent head of the Bureau of Economic Security, which was chosen by an independent committee. And a lot of the people see that this is democratic backsliding. Simultaneously, people in government who support the bill say that any protest, any public opinion that goes against the president's will is working for Russia and shows that the country is divided. What's your opinion on the reaction of the people, and do you see the government using the Russia card, saying that everything you do is connected to Russia or is helping Russia if they don't like it?
First, let me say, I think people who went to the streets had every right to be angry and to make their anger known to the government. Because for people, I would dare say, it is not that much about this abbreviations, NABU or SAPO. This is about a general perception of unfairness of situation of some people. most of them paying a very dear price for preserving sovereignty of the country, and other people, minority of them, not upholding their promise of introducing the rule of law in the country, for which other people are paying such a dear price. And again, people have a right to be angry. And it is very common knowledge that underestimating public protests in Ukraine have never ended well for those who did it. Therefore, I'm warning, if I may put it like this, colleagues against trying to present all these people, all these young people, students, with their banners drawn on paperboards from Nova Post parcels. It just can't seriously associate them with Russia's influences.
Just if I may share my opinion, it looks like each subsequent government thinks that it can do the same thing that the previous one did, but get away with it because it thinks that it's smarter than the previous one.
And, sorry for interrupting, this never works out.
Yes, like it never works out. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel to receive more interviews with politicians, lawmakers, and people who decide the fate of this country. Let's move a bit about the international reaction. Do you see that this particular law and this democratic backsliding in Ukraine will affect Ukraine's chances of joining the European Union, and also the ability of Ukraine to gather international support for the fight against Russia?
So let's break it into two questions. Whether this bill and this whole approach contradicts our commitments and obligations according to numerous documents vital for our European integration. Yes, it does contradict. Whether this situation will be used by those who are not friends of Ukraine in order to advocate against Ukraine, absolutely yes, and this is already happening. And frankly speaking, this has been very much predictable. This has been predictable. So if we know that something is going to be used by enemies of Ukraine, why do it in the first place? Why do it in the first place? To me, it frankly seems weird, to say the least, just to blame that someone used things against Ukraine after it has been implemented in Ukraine.
You're talking about the why implement this law that you know will...
Why do it if it has been very obvious that it would be used against Ukraine? Will the step make it more difficult for friends of Ukraine to argue in support of Ukraine with those who are not necessarily friends? Absolutely yes. And again, this has been very much predictable from the very beginning. So I'm really struggling to understand why do it.
Do you think that the government, and when I'm telling the government, it's basically Zelensky and his president's office, do you think those people decided to act now, and we're talking about multiple different cases, including the case with Nabu right now, when they saw that nobody can actually stop them, when the US stopped caring about reforms in Ukraine, when US backed down from pushing for reforms in Ukraine, when they saw that the European Union will continue supporting Ukraine because Ukraine is protecting Europe from Russia, do you think that right now they feel impunity and they feel that they can do whatever they want?
I'll say that it is definitely true that the situation that you've just described was perceived by many vested interests as an opportunity, as a window of opportunities, yes.
How do you see the situation moving forward? Do you feel that some other Ukrainian institutions or maybe Ukrainian free press are going to be next on the list of the president's office?
Frankly, let me say that I'm very saddened by the fact that, for example, National Agency for Corruption Prevention didn't say a word, despite the fact that independence of NABU and SAPO is part of anti-corruption strategy of Ukraine adopted by the Parliament, implementation of which is in the powers of National Agency for Corruption Prevention. I'm really saddened to see them keeping silence. As to what should be done, I'm not seeing other way out of a situation than canceling these amendments. I'm not seeing a promise coming from Prosecutor General to not intervene as a substantial solution, because that's not even about the personality of the Prosecutor General. But we've heard such promises for a number of years from different people, and people keep promise to not intervene until they break their promise and intervene on specific cases. Allowing this opportunity to be open for someone's usage at any comfortable or uncomfortable moment has nothing to do with independence of anti-corruption institutions.
But who can force the president to now roll back his power grab over anti-corruption institutions?
I can only hope for the sake of the country that this realization comes. Again, I'm only responsible for my own actions. Together with pro-reform colleagues in the parliament, we are already now submitting a bill to cancel these amendments, and we're also preparing a submission for the Constitutional Court with a request to rule the bill as unconstitutional based on procedural violations in the course of its adoption.
But do you think the parliament that just voted for this amendments in a really sneaky way, in one day, they added amendments to an old law that was sitting there, and that they actually applauded when these amendments that kill anti-corruption institutions were adopted? Do you think they can now vote for something that cancels this?
I won't hide it. The moment was applause has been ugly. Frankly, it was one of the moments when I felt most ugly on the voting floor in the parliament. At the same time, again, I think that it is important that voters, journalists make their position known to those who take decisions.
There's a lot of high-profile cases that NABU was leading. One of them is a case opened against former Deputy Prime Minister Chernyshov, who is a close friend, I would say, or acquaintance of the president. There's also cases concerning people who President Zelensky did business with previously. Do you think those cases are now in danger?
I think that each and every case is now in danger because the legal opportunity that is there in the legislation for the Prosecutor General to intervene, it's a mechanism that can be used at any moment against any case. The Prosecutor General is, of course, publicly claiming that he has no intention of attacking, let's put it like this, the case against Mr. Chernyshov. At the same time, what do we expect the Prosecutor General to say publicly? No, but I mean, do we expect him to come publicly and say, yes, I will take the Chernyshov's case from NABU and do whatever I wish with this? Of course, now we will hear all this pacificating promises. I just have to be conscious of the fact that while this opportunity in the legislation is there, at any moment we can wake up to the news that some case has already been destroyed and there's little one can do. What is also very important, apart from destroying very public cases, there is also now for a Prosecutor General an opportunity to influence the case from the earliest stages of investigation, as a result of which no case can actually happen, because there haven't been an opportunity to investigate from the very beginning. And this is something that is not that much public. And this is something that can be done in a quietness of prosecutorial rooms in order to just let some people go unpunished. This has nothing to do with fight against corruption.
And just to explain to our viewers that the head of NABU and SAPA, which are the National Anti-Corruption Bureau and the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, their heads were chosen independently by an independent commission. while the Prosecutor General is, according to the law, nominated by the president and approved by the parliament, which is controlled by the president. So that's kind of the main problem here, because when we spoke with the Prosecutor General yesterday, his main answer to all of our questions was why you don't trust me. I'm a good guy, why you don't trust me? But it's not about him personally, it's that he can be changed, and instead of him, any other person that the president likes can be appointed Prosecutor General, because you don't even have to be a lawyer to be Prosecutor General.
Prosecutor General is the least politically independent, the least legally protected law enforcement official in the country, because whereas for prosecutors, for head of NABU, for head of SAPO, there is a procedure, there are legal pretexts, few of them, in order to trigger dismissal. For the Prosecutor General, it's just 226 votes in the parliament. We've seen yesterday how easily that can be mobilized. So without any pretext, without any legal limitations, any Prosecutor General can be dismissed simply because 226 MPs are unhappy about his work. And Prosecutor General knows it. This is why I'm saying this is the least politically protected law enforcement official in the country, political appointee, sadly.
Do you think that Ukraine is still a democracy?
I do. That's actually a very good question. And it is not a very difficult one. It may seem as a difficult one, but it isn't. Every time that when there has been a question as to whether Ukraine is still a democracy, the people of Ukraine proved that yes, it is. For them, it is vital that Ukraine is democracy, whatever the one who is in power at the moment thinks he or she can do. So I think, yes, in this regard, absolutely yes, and people have proven that yesterday.
Well, thank you for your time, and hopefully in the near future we see some kind of tangible results that can resolve the situation. But unfortunately, what we're seeing now, we're seeing the government doubling down on their decision. We see that today, as we're recording this, the president published another post with all the heads of different agencies saying that we're all working together, everything's fine. So I don't have any positive way to end our interview, to be honest.
If I may, after that, there has been public communication, joint statement from NABU and SAPO emphasizing that they also do not see any way out of the situation other than repealing this amendment. Let's also be honest, if this happens, this takes time. And periods of time before this happens, if it does, is a huge threat towards basically Ukraine being able to institute justice against those with dirty hands.
Thank you for watching this interview. We know that topics of corruption in Ukraine and domestic politics don't receive the attention that frontline coverage receives at the Kyiv Independent. But we think that reporting on everything that's happening in Ukraine is critical for us to be an independent, truthful media organization. Whatever the reason is for you to subscribe to the Kyiv Independent, you can rest assured that we will report what's actually happening in this country. If you feel that our coverage is important, please become a member of the Kyiv Independent. The links are below. Thank you.